Hey there, Love Food listener. Julie Duffy Dillon here, and welcome to episode 205 of the Love Food podcast. This is a bonus episode that we refer to as the After the Letters Project. Typical episodes feature a letter from someone who's in a complicated relationship with food, and that letter is addressed to food itself. And then we explore different options to help heal the relationship with food. Sometimes we have guests on too, and at the end, food writes back. But today, this is a different kind of episodes where we explore topics outside of the letters. And today, what I am exploring with you are PCOS and cravings. Yes, what are you supposed to do with your cravings when it comes to PCOS? I have a feeling all the advice you've gotten so far is how to ignore them, trick them, or to just pretend like they're not there. Avoid them like the plague. But I actually have some different things to say, and I hope you find them helpful. What I want to say is I think food cravings and PCOS are different. They're very different. And, honestly, I say this from a place of never experiencing PCOS. So it's only coming from a place of what other people have taught me. They've taught me that PCOS cravings are primal. They feel like every cell in your body is starving and you must eat or you're going to die. That's not how it feels when I have a food craving. It's kind of like, wow, I kind of am craving something sweet. I think I want something sweet. It's so much different. And so your cravings, I know, are so much more intense than those of us without PCOS. But what are you supposed to do with them? What are you actually supposed to do with these carb cravings? Something that I would encourage you to experiment with is to consider them more as insight. I don't want them to be shunned or ignored or tricked. I think carb cravings and PCOS are insight. I call them guideposts. I think they're a way to know that there's some unmet need going on, in particular with your physiology. How we relate to food is really complicated and has so much nuance. And, when we are having cravings, oftentimes it's about an unmet emotional need. That's really normal because food is emotional. Emotional eating is really normal eating. But then when you also put on there the physiology that we see with PCOS, carb cravings can be even more insightful that there's something going on. So having PCOS, I know that most of the time people have high circulating insulin. They also have lower CCK, which is a hormone called cholecystokinin that I always trip up on. But anyway, so high insulin, low CCK, the high testosterone that we often see with PCOS also kind of gets twisted into the insulin levels and gets higher too. And those all make carb cravings more intense. And because insulin is so high, it's so incredibly high, the body is also having a really hard time using carbohydrate and sugar for energy, which is really interesting, right? Because insulin is so high because of probably some defect or deficiency in how insulin is being used and how it's like insulin's kind of like the doorman that opens the cell for energy. And there's some kind of door jam going on or the doorbell's not working. Think about anything you want in that metaphor, but something's going on with that, we think, with PCOS. And so with other thing with PCOS is that the body is needing glucose into those cells. So even though there's lots of insulin in there, the body is still not getting enough energy into the cells. And so they're starving. And so if you have this need for glucose and lots of insulin, those are two things that tell the body to crave more carbohydrate. It does this through one chemical in our brain called neuropeptide Y. And also, like, the higher insulin, it just in itself makes our body crave more carbohydrate because it's like, oh, we're about ready to eat. So send some more glucose, please. So if that's going on in your body and you're getting these cravings, it's a way to kind of know that your PCOS needs attention. So when I work with people individually, I have this kind of algorithm that I teach people to go through, which is, when you're having carb cravings, instead of running from them, consider them insight. Ask yourself some questions. Are you eating enough? Yes, that is the first question. You need to eat more than you think to be properly nourished, to do all the things you want to do, especially with PCOS. And I'm so sorry that people have told you that you need to restrict more. I really don't agree with them. So are you eating enough? Are you getting enough rest? I know that 75% of those of you with PCOS have some type of sleep disorder, whether you know it or not. And when we're not sleeping well, even if we think we're asleep, but we're not getting good cycles of sleep, it'll make insulin higher, which will make cravings worse. They'll make them so much more intense. And so, are you sleeping okay? Have you had a sleep study done? Maybe it's time for another one. Are you getting enough protein? I do think people with PCOS probably need more protein. That doesn't mean that I think you need to cut out carbohydrates or anything else. I just think you probably need more protein. Are you getting enough? Are you making sure that you're getting all your medications and supplements? I know it's really hard to remember to take all of them. You're on so many. I know that's so hard. And with PCOS, with all the hormonal kind of issues going on, it can make a sort of brain fog and make it harder to remember things, including taking medications that will probably help your memory, So when you're getting those cravings, that's something to consider. Did I forget my medications? Or has it been a while since I've talked to my doctor about medications and supplements? Maybe I need to go back. Have I been exercising too much? Have I been dieting? Have I been trying to lose weight, whether it's on the forefront of my brain or kind of hidden back there, but still running the show? Doing all of those things will make carb cravings increase. That's amazing insight. And even if all those things come up and you're like, no, I'm not finding any information there, you need to know something about PCOS. There's no cure, no matter what influencer is telling you. There is no cure for PCOS currently as of February 2020. So it's a chronic condition. So it's always going to get worse. If you are a robot doing everything perfectly, whatever that is, there's no perfect anyway, but let's just say there was for the sake of argument. You're doing everything perfectly, your PCOS would still get worse. So maybe it's time just to attend to doing things differently. And that may mean going to your healthcare provider and just spreading out on the table everything that you're currently doing to manage your PCOS and what are some other options to see if it helps. I really think carb cravings are the way for you to know what's going on. What do you need? I hope you can have permission to use them as insight and to not think of them as a character flaw. Ignoring them, avoiding them, trying to trick them, I think it keeps you from really important information. So it's time to end this episode, but I hope it was helpful for you. If you want to know more about how I work with people with PCOS, I encourage you to go to my website, juliedillonrd.com. And if you are interested in learning more about the course that I've designed for people with PCOS who are wanting to find another way to manage their condition without dieting or pursuing weight loss, go to PCOSandfoodpeace.com. There you'll get all the details. And if you're interested in making the investment today to join the course or during the month of February 2020, use the 30% off coupon at checkout. The coupon code is LOVEFOOD. Get to all the details at PCOSandfoodpeace.com. All right, so until next time, take care.